Okay, a couple of tests that we're going to do here is I'm going to see how this sounds. We're going to try to sync it up with that audio, and we are going to fasten this somewhere, and we're going to test how long the battery lasts on this. Now the camera that I'm recording on is an EVO, Insta360 EVO. It is a 180 360 camera, 180 3D. It's got two lenses. Really cool camera. I actually don't know why they stopped making this camera. Really cool camera. It opens up into a 180 3D camera, two lenses. Now, if you want to record in 360, it lets you fold it back up. Very tiny thing. Makes a little cube. It's got lenses in the front and the back then. And these are fisheye lenses that see, you know, in about 180 degrees, I would imagine. And with that, you can make a 360 video. Okay, so it's either 360 2D or 180 3D. And I have it in 180 3D because, frankly, this is our space over here. Over there is somebody else's space, so we don't want to record that. Anyway, you know what? Let me do the clapping noise thing. Okay, so, all right. Now, the reason we do that is to be able to sync the audio with the video. This camera is recording audio, but it's not great audio. This should be much better audio. In order to sync the two, I do the hand and the clapping noise. Now, you've seen in Hollywood movies, they have these clapper things. That's what they do it for. In the video, you see the clapping noise. And that lets you visually see where that loud noise should be. And if you take the two tracks, the video and the audio, you can sync it up. Now today, software will do it for you as well. It will look at the waves and sync it all up. But anyway, all right, let me put this away. And we're recording some audio while we're doing stuff today. Now, already I feel like this might be kind of hard to walk around with. So I am going to have to speak to Laurel about that. And she will help me figure something out. All right. Because when we're doing the motion capture, that's going to be kind of getting in the way there. All right. I'm here to work on this mess of cables today. Got the helmet there. We got another helmet that we have to put together. My microphone, Laurel's microphone. You probably can't see, but behind me are two big lights. These are really cool lights, and they are, oh shucks, I forgot the name of them. But these are, I believe it's Richardson Mole, I think is the name of them. They look like old Hollywood lights, and I just love the way that they look. We haven't turned on the lights here in the studio because, A, they're very noisy, and the quality of light is not very good. I like warm lights, okay? And, you know, these old Hollywood lights, halogen lights, you know, they have a warmth to them, and they also have the full light spectrum, you know, high CRI is what they call it, color rendition index. So they reproduce colors really well. Anyway, that's another topic. Let's work on some of these cables. This is sort of a mess here, and I have no idea how we're going to fix all this. All right, but I got about an hour, so let's do it. I should set up the computer first to make sure everything is wired up. So let's go ahead and do that. Now, we have two computers here that we're using for our setup. One is a laptop, and this is what I carry home. Now, this is space that we rent. And, you know, we can come here any time of the day. However, it's not always easy to come any time of the day. So what I have is I want to be able to take all my files with me at the end of the day and work on them at home. So we have a laptop. It'd be really nice if we had some sort of oh, what do you call it? Docking station of sorts, so that all I have to do is plug in one cable and it'll be fine. All right, but we have here, so this is an HDMI cable attached to a mini display port adapter, and this is what goes to the projector. All right, so we have that and we have that. And this hooks up to this monitor over here. I don't know if you can even see all that stuff, but this is part of the test. Okay, and now I need to, there was a screen there. So let's start by doing that. Now what's over here? Here is a USB of sorts. You know what? I'm just gonna plug it in. We'll figure out what it does in a few minutes. Okay, let's have that boot up. Now, you know, I think this is the mouse stuff. This is why I'm plugging everything in, because we need to make sure before I tie everything and clean this up, we actually have something nice here. Now, while I'm doing that, I will tell you about the week that I am having. You know, we call this the creative diary. And I wanted to talk to you about that because sometimes you've had a terrible week and you don't feel like creating anything. And that's all right. You know, here I am. I'm trying to do something. And today I'm giving myself a break. What I'm doing is I'm going to clean up the cables. I'm not going to be like, I got to produce something to release on YouTube or whatever. I am going to relax, clean up the studio, so that when we have more creative energy, we can come back and we'll be all set to go. All right. So let me tell you, this has been a crazy, crazy week. We took our car in to get fixed because my son is now working. Thank God that things are better with the pandemic right now. We're all vaccinated, most of us at home. We still have a kid who is 11, so he's not able to get the vaccine yet. But the rest of us are either on the process of being fully vaccinated, or we are already fully vaccinated. I am fully vaccinated. And my son, who is living with us, he's soon to be 25. He was able to get back to work. So he's borrowing my car. I don't use it much these days because I've been working from home. But I wanted to make sure that it was working fine. And so, you know, there was a little rattling noise. It's an old car. And there was some noise that seemed to be coming from the muffler area. So we took it in, and they tell us that it's going to cost $4,000 to fix this car, which is not even worth maybe $2,000. The car itself is not worth $2,000. So that was the first thing. It's like, you know, you take it to a mechanic that you trust, and they say it's going to cost $4,000 to fix your car. And I was like, you know what? This is just not worth that. So, you know, we're trying to figure out. And they tell us, you know, the brakes are all bad, and it's not safe to drive it. So now we have a problem because my son can't get to work, and we're trying to, you know, figure all that stuff out. So so that was the first thing. Second thing is that my son then borrows what we call the cargo van. It's also an old van, which has, you know, a bunch of miles, and we use it to transport things. Anyway, he sadly gets in an accident. And it wasn't his fault. He didn't get a ticket. The other person got the ticket. He did everything right. It's his first accident. Honestly, I'm surprised that these kids are such good drivers. And that is also because of Laurel, because I'm not allowed there when they practice their driving, because I'm the whole time so scared and saying, you know, don't do that, no, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, their mom has a lot more patience with them. But, you know, they're such safe drivers, and they've never gotten in an accident, so I was very surprised. And yeah, it wasn't his fault. But the van is totaled. So now, okay, so now we didn't have, the car that we were going to give him is not safe to drive, we're told. The new car, the car that he was borrowing, is now totaled, so he can't use it. And we are down to one car. And yeah, so we finally decide, well, let's see if we can get a second estimate on this little car. You know, the one that was going to cost $4,000 to fix. So we take it to another mechanic. And the other mechanic tells us, it's fine. The brakes are fine. You know, all that it's going to cost is $280 to fix. So we went from a $4,000 estimate to a $280 estimate. And, oh, I don't know anything about cars, but I tell you what, $280 sounds a lot better than $4,000. And what do we know? You know, we've been taking this car to this, our cars, to this other mechanic. And yeah, we always felt like things were very expensive, but we felt like, okay, these guys are expensive, but they're giving us really good service. So we are, you know, getting our money's worth. And now this thing puts you in a state where you're like, you know, who do you believe? And have we really been giving all this money to this mechanic who's, you know, we trusted? And turns out that maybe we can't trust this person at all. So this is the kind of thing that you're like, you know, I want to create something cool. I want to do something to make some money creatively. I want to be able to pay for, you know, this gear that we've bought with the idea of creating stuff. But then you're weak. This is how it goes. You know, now we're, you know, all this stuff is on your mind and you're just really tired and exhausted and you're like, I don't want to work on anything. All I want to do is sit down and watch TV. So I at least dragged myself to the studio today. And Laurel told me, just take off and go to the studio because, you know, this is sort of like my therapy, right? If you're a creative person, you know that this is not just, yes, you want it to be a business. Yes, you want it to be successful. You don't want people to say, this is just your hobby and oh, it's so cool that you have a hobby. You actually want to make something that people remember, that people enjoy, and that hopefully will pay for itself. But there are weeks like this, you know, and this is happens all the time where you're like, what am I going to do? You know? So anyway, there's another funny story that happened, which is that we are, you know, this van that got in an accident is completely dead, right? So it's completely crashed. And so we're going to just sell it to one of those salvage places. You know, they give you a few $100 to scrap it or whatever. This is pretty nice, by the way. We just got the projector screen going. It looks cool. It looks very cool, I won't lie to you. Anyway, I really now want to put on the suit and do something. But, you know, we go to, we tell the towing company to bring our car to this junkyard where we're selling the car, we're selling the van to them. Get rid of it. It's dead, you know. And they bring the van, and it's the wrong van. What happened is that by chance, my son driving our van, which is a Town and Country gray, crashed into another Town and Country van, the slightly different shade of gray, okay? So they brought the other person's van. And anyway, this all gets added up, right? Like, you're like, what else? What else is going to happen? So he, you know, and then by the time that they moved the van, you know, and the guy was nice, and he's like, oh, geez, you know, sorry, I didn't check carefully enough. I'll just go grab your van. They're not charging us extra, of course, you know, that would be crazy, but, you know, we are. But by the time that he brought the other van, the real, you know, our van, it was too late. The place was closed. So we are now going to have to wait till Tuesday because it's Memorial Day weekend. So yeah, so that's what happens, you know. All right, but I'm babbling. I'm talking too much. This is a huge mess of cables. My gosh, I'm like wondering, what did I even plug into this? You know, I know we have a cable going to the HDMI and we have power there. And we have these 4 base stations for our Vive trackers. And they have power and they need extensions and so forth. Also, let me say, because Laurel probably won't brag about her own stuff. Laurel actually built all these wooden things. And so you're going to wonder pretty soon, what do I do, right? Like, I just like, technically, you know, I do all the technical stuff. But she knows that stuff too. But she's also very handy with wood and stuff. So she built all this wood stuff that you see here too. This is for hanging our suits and, you know, this table, no, I bought that from Amazon. Anyway, all right. So one thing that I want to do, and you keep an eye on it, we can't let these things go to sleep because that is constantly bad when all these things, you know, go to sleep. At least they should have a screensaver probably, and they should have the iFilmFlops logo or something like that. Anyway, I'm stalling because I don't know what I'm going to do with all these cables. Well, you know I have no followers at all. So I don't know if anybody's listening to this. But if you are, please talk to me. You know, I like talking to people. This pandemic has been very hard because I haven't had a lot of people to talk to. And, you know, I don't want to be I'm not a YouTuber. I'm not a YouTuber. I've had 300 followers on Twitter since day one. I don't think I have never been able to increase my count. But the thing that I wish I had, which I don't have, is followers so that I'd have conversations. You know, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it would be nice to have it for the money. You know, it'd be nice to make some income from YouTube. But the saddest part for me about having a low following is that I don't get to talk to people. And I would love to talk to other creative people, especially now that we're doing motion capture stuff. and my only friends are going to be digital characters that I make on the computer, I would love to interact with people and figure out, you know, what do you do when you're trying to be creative and you've had a terrible week? You know, what do you do? Anyway, let me show you this. This is fun. This is called a TourBox. All right. I found this little gadget, and what it is that it has different buttons that you can program. You know, wheels, scroll wheels. I think this is also a click button, multiple directions, blah blah blah. Buttons on the side. It almost looks like an Xbox controller or something like that. But what's cool about it is that you can program it for your application. So for our motion capture software, we have it so that the record button, for example, is here so that we can go frame by frame, all sorts of things. So this is useful, and it's got a very long USB cable. And now I got to figure out what to do with that, because it's really going to be here somewhere, and it's going to be useful. And what that allows us to do is, you know, if I start my motion capture, I can put this on the ground here. I can do it even with my toe if I need to press the button to record. Okay, so this is called a TourBox. I don't know how much it is. Got it from Amazon. All right. I don't know. What do you do about these mechanics? You know, I always jokingly tell people, you know, you need someone in the family who is a doctor or a nurse and knows some medical stuff to talk to. You need somebody who knows computer stuff. So I'm usually that person. And you need someone who knows cars. My dad is that person, but sadly my dad is in Florida, and I cannot take the car to my dad. Now the camera just did a beeping noise, so hopefully it'll keep recording. I've got this camera, I don't think it was meant to record this long, and actually I don't know if my audio is recording still. Well, it says it is, I think. But I have it attached to one of those portable batteries. I've got a 128 gig card. I've got this battery that's pretty big, you know, 3-hour, 4-hour battery, one of these bricks things. And, you know, I think it'll keep going as long as that's giving it power and we don't run out of space. So sadly for you, I'm going to be talking for a long time. Okay. Now let's see. This USB cable is the one that hooks up to the projector. I just want to see what is this big mess here? What is this big mess here? Okay. This says it is an Amazon Basics HDMI cable with Ethernet. Really? I bought a cable that has HDMI and Ethernet? I'm a techie. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, but I don't even know why you would need a HDMI cable with Ethernet in it. And how do you get the Ethernet out of that? That is a big mystery. It was probably had two things. It had good reviews, and it was on the cheaper side. Okay. Now, this is also going to one of these monitors back here. Let's see why is this so tangled up here? Okay. So yeah, what do you do? What do I do about this mechanic? I gotta tell you, part of me is like, well, you know, I don't want to have to pay $4,000. So I'm very relieved about that. But what do? Like, do you complain to somebody? Do you say, hey, this guy could be a crook? What is, I don't know. Do you, I don't know what you do. And I think part of what really bothers me about it is that, and you know, this is somebody that I trusted. The first time he told us, hey, you know, your car has this and this and this problem, but I would not fix it because it's just frankly not worth it. So we thought, okay, well, you know, when somebody tells you that, you think you can trust that person. So for that particular car that we had, and this was a few years back, we decided not to do it on his advice. Because if anybody tells you, you know, when they could make money from you, that you don't need to do that, you feel like, well, this is someone trustworthy. So we decided not to do that. Yeah, so this whole thing is a cable. And I gotta figure out how to do this because I don't want to have this on the floor. This is, you know, I want to be able to move this thing wherever we need it. So if we're doing motion capture and we want to put it over here, for example, that is going to be better if we can move it. So my solution to everything is I got to talk to Laurel. But I think what we need here, you know what? I'm going to amaze myself doing this. I have this adapter, and I probably need to get a couple of these. Sorry for adjusting my pants there. They're kind of falling. I have this adapter that I use. I'll show you in a second. Hold on. Okay, I don't know if you can see me back over here. Can you still see me from there? This is pretty neat. Here we go. What'd I tell you? Okay, this is gonna get annoying, right? If we're recording something, we're in the middle of it, and we don't press the mouse or press the little TourBox thing, and these things go to sleep like that, that is going to get annoying. So one of the things I got to do before I go is make sure that when all these devices are on power, that they only do the screensaver and they do not go into this screen sleep mode, okay? That is very, very annoying. Okay, so I got this thing and I got it for hold on one second. I got it to hold the VR headset, sort of a clamp. I'm going to try to use that to put this on the back of that so that when I move the cart, the whole thing moves with it. All right, let's put this over here. I think Laurel will be very proud of me. But I'm also going to have to order another one for the headset itself, because now it's on the floor in a little bag. Aha! But now I can hang that there. Let me hang it the other way if I can. And that will let me get this out. I am very happy about this. There we go. You guys are thinking, you know, the things that I get excited about are probably kind of silly. But, yeah, it's It's not perfect yet. I like neat cables, and I learned that from my dad. You know, I read about Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs is not my dad, by the way, or wasn't my dad. But he and my dad had this in common, which is my dad really cared about, still does, cables looking neat. And I remember telling him, you know, Dad, nobody's going to see these cables, blah, blah, blah. But I remember reading on Steve Jobs' biography that his dad was the same way with him. They were working on a wooden fence, and his dad cared a lot about what the fence looked like on the back. And it was not the part that everybody was going to see, but he still cared that it looked good, and he carried that with him. He became a billionaire. I haven't been doing the same. But I also care about the cables that nobody's going to see looking neat, because people do see that sometimes. And especially if we're going to be on camera. And frankly, I have to be honest, it sort of relaxes me. It gives me something to do without being like very stressful. I know our kids, you know, with school, they're often impatient with the teachers. They've been doing online school, so I've been able to listen to them. And they get impatient if they don't have anything big to do. You know, if the teacher just says, "Oh, I just want you to read right now." I always find that kind of stuff so relaxing. You know, when they tell you don't have a big thing to do, that you are fine, totally fine, you're going to get a good grade if all you do is sit there quietly. I mean, to me, that was like amazing, you know? The harder part is when they tell you, no, you got to figure out these fractions or this complicated algebra or whatever in order to get a good grade. But I don't understand why the kids get upset if all they say is you just have to stay there quietly for a little while, and you're good. I mean, to me, that was awesome. And so if somebody tells me what you have to do right now is just focus on these cables and make them look nice. And that is okay. That's part of the creative process. That is part of your job. I will gladly do that. All right. So you might be wondering, well, why do we have all these cables to begin with? What is all this about? We have two computers. We have a bunch of monitors, it looks like. Okay. Well, the reason is because now this computer stays here all the time. This is, we call our studio the Bat Cave. So this is the Bat Cave's computer. And this has the motion capture software. This other computer has Unreal Engine, has the Reolution suite. And so on this screen here and on that one, we have two monitors attached to that, and we have two monitors attached to the Batcave computer. And so we're going to be able to do our motion capture software on this screen and on that screen. And that screen is actually an Atomos Sumo 19. We used that to record when we were recording the Life Peddler movie. So I'm using it right now to record what we see on the screen. So if I want to share some information with you guys about how to do some of this stuff, that can record that. But in order to do, once we do the motion capture on one machine, we stream the information live to Reolution. And that is the stuff that I can take home. So when we record, that's going to be on the laptop. And so I'm going to be able to then bring it home, do the post edit and all that stuff. So, and another cool thing is we can connect remotely to the Batcave computer anyway and extract data if we forget about it. So 2 monitors for each computer. We can see them here. We don't have to be behind there because Laurel and I are both working on the animation, so we're okay. Is it looking any better? I don't know if it's looking any better. I think I'm making a bigger mess probably. But I got that thing. I'm very proud of that. All right. What is this here? Aha. So it looks like I have a couple of blue cables that are USB cables. Now, this here, I don't think this was very expensive at all. This is a little USB switcher. So if you saw me pressing the button here, it's because I have a keyboard and mouse. And when I press the button, it goes to the laptop. When I press it again, it goes to the Batcave computer. Okay, so that's this PC here. And some other day, when I remember what the heck I put in the last computer, I built this computer, by the way. So when I refresh my memory as to what video parts it has, we're going to go through that as well. But anyway, these are USB cables. And let's see where they're hooked up to. Aha. All right. So the one is hooked up to here. Now I'm going to have to clean that up in a bit because what I want to do here is this is going to be used for the Vive trackers. I got to put the Vive trackers back. Now we started doing animation with the Vive trackers, Vive 2.0, okay? This is the first version that we used of these trackers. And it was fine. We liked it. I think I'm hooked, my audio thing is now tangled up here. Oh my gosh. All right. Anyway, the Vive is a pretty cool system. But it suffers from different things. One of the things that we notice is that it's not very steady. It sort of jitters a lot. And part of that is reflections, we found out, because these base stations, these are the SteamVR 2.0 base stations, and we have 4 of them. What they do is they emit light, and these sensors, the trackers, and I'm going to dig them all out if I have time. Those trackers, need to communicate back. Okay, I'm butchering this. It doesn't, I don't know all the technology, but it has to do with light bouncing back the trackers to be able to communicate their position. And what happens is that if you have anything reflective, so even these monitors, there's a mirror back there, all that stuff needs to be covered up when we do the Vive tracking. And it's still a little bit jittery. So we switched to Perception Neuron 2.0. We saved our money and we were able to buy those Perception Neuron suits. They have their problems of their own. Those are, I think they're called inertia-based tracking systems. And the way they work is they only recognize, basically the way that I understand it, it's offsets, right? So if you start from here and you move your hand like that, it knows that it moved from point A to point B, this much movement. But if your character had his hand over here to begin with, then it's only going to move up to here because it knows the offset, okay? So it doesn't know where the hand was in particular. It just knows that it moved X degrees or, some type of delta, right? Whereas the Vive trackers, I believe those things actually know where you are. The problem with that is that they also record footsteps, okay? So Perception Neuron 2.0 is based on contact. So when I hit the floor, that's what happens. So one of the problems that we had is that, you see me here, for example, and I walk there, and if I do 1, 2, 3, 4 steps, and then I turn around and do 1, 2, 3, 4 steps, you may not end up in the same position that you started at. So if Laurel and I are doing something where we like have to do a high five or we have to do handshake, this system doesn't work too well for that, because we may start at the same location, do a high five, move over to the other spots, come back, do another high five, and the software thinks that we are like really far apart and we're just doing high fives in the air, okay? So that is the problem with that system, although it's a lot more steady. So when you see, when you're holding still, that thing is not moving, whereas with the Vive trackers, even if we cover every reflective surface we can think of or whatever, you always feel like the things are about to fly off, okay? They sort of, you know, vibrate a little. And it's really hard to get them to just hold still. So what we really need, and I saw Xsense, which is another company that does inertia-based systems, they started combining the two systems. So you can enhance their data by using the Vive trackers. Now, they cost a heck of a lot of money, which we don't have. But I am going to see if we can do the same thing. So part of what we're doing is figuring out, can we use both systems together? Now that involves another thing that I wanted to do, which was to try the Vive Trackers 3.0, because as we were trying Perception Neuron, it turns out that they released a new version of the trackers. And they are supposed to be smaller, lighter, and also you know, more accurate. At the same time, there's another company involved called Manus. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. They work on motion capture gloves, but they also have a SteamVR tracker, Pro tracker, that they're releasing later this year. So it'll be interesting. And they also have software that can resolve the trackers in SteamVR to map to Unreal Engine characters and so on. So I have, you know, there's a lot of stuff to figure out. And we're trying to figure it all out. Okay, so, you know, at least these things are going to be off the floor. My goodness, I have a lot more cables. This is a power cable. So we need that there. But what I'm not seeing is that I have another USB cable which goes to the laptop. Okay, here it is. My goodness. Okay, I'm going to unplug this for a second. Here's another thing that Laurel normally does. She is the person that does all the twisty ties. And once I bring her back in, we're going to take care of that. Oh boy, the screens are gone again. Unbelievable. And what's funny is that it's both cameras that are doing that. I mean, both computers at the same time. Okay, let me see if I can at least fix the one. Nope. Okay. So that one has returned. Welcome back. What else? Hey, I got a new camera for my birthday. And this is the Qoocam 8K. Now, I started with the DJI, and let me tell you this here first. I was really into cameras, and still am, of course. When we were filming The Life Peddler, for example, we did that on a VariCam LT. And I saved up for a long time to be able to get that VariCam. Now, when it comes, we did sell that camera so that we could pay for us to go to the American film market. And I'll tell you that story another time, because that was not a good use of our money. And I'm sad about that we had to sell that camera in order to go there. But we misunderstood the purpose of that show, and yep, so it goes. But we have our, anyway, I'm really into cameras, so I know all about the specs of, for example, the Canon C500 Mark II, the Canon C300 Mark III, the Sony FX9, the FX6 and the FX3, and the Canon R5. Anyway, those things are very expensive cameras, and they are very fun cameras. But right now, we are not filming 2D movies. We have moved on to do VR filmmaking. And so there's no point. I don't know if you're like me at all, but I get depressed if I have an awesome camera that I saved up for and I don't use it. If I were shooting all the time with it, I'd be fine. But every day that I see this camera just sitting there, I can't handle that, So I end up selling these things because of that. And right now I don't have a nice camera. And why do I need one? I just love the image. When we were filming 2D narrative movies, live action, those made sense. What I like the most is dynamic range. I need a camera that is able to see, when they talk about dynamic range, it means that it's really good at showing a range of light, darks, brights. And I can tell when I look at an image and I go, well, that's not a good camera, because the dynamic range of it is really bad. You can't see anything. I'm putting this in the wrong place. But now I don't use 2D cameras. And if I spend money, it's going to be on motion capture. So what does that mean? That the camera that I have now are 360 cameras. And I just need a camera to record different events, like birthdays and so on. I used to be the person that would show up, well, not this bad, but it would be funny to show up with an Arri Alexa to kids' birthday parties, because that's all you were shooting with it. That would be really depressing. I never wanted to be, my dad always talks about the kid in the basketball team, because we used to play basketball, little league. The kid with the cool shoes. I don't know if you know the kid with the cool shoes. He's got the best shoes. He's 10 years old. He's in a little league basketball team. And he's got the best shoes, like top of the line. And he doesn't know how to dribble. So my dad was always like, that's why we're buying you cheap shoes. You want to be the kid who knows how to play, and the shoes don't matter. So it's the same thing here. I don't want to show up to the birthday parties with our Arri Alexa, because I'm the kid that has the really expensive camera, but doesn't have award-winning movies with it. No, so VariCam LT was an excellent camera. It it has a dual ISO thing. I always found it to be a very noisy camera, but but at some point you have a camera that has all that technology. If you don't get a good image out of it, it's your fault. But the VariCam LT was a cool camera. It was just very heavy. I need something that is handheld, that has autofocus, that has really good dynamic range. Doesn't everybody want that? Anyway, I'm getting off topic. Right now, what I have is a Qoocam 8K, which is only about $600. Still expensive for most people. But it was a birthday party, a birthday gift from my wife. And it's a very fun camera. It does not have very good dynamic range, sadly, but it does record in 10-bit. And that's another sign of a good camera. They have 8-bit cameras and they have 10-bit cameras, and actually some cameras recording even higher than that. And what is the advantage? That you have more color information, that you have more light information. I know I just unplugged that and I'm plugging it back in because I made a mistake. All right, we have this, we have that. And we're gonna have to do something with the power cable. Well, I will be able to look at the footage and see, of today, and see if I actually improve things or not. Here's what you do as the last step. You just tuck everything in under here so we can't see it. But tomorrow, I am going to come back and Laurel will be able to join me. And we will be able to put the Vive trackers and sort of clean this up a little bit better and see if we can actually move this thing. All right, I do think I'm gonna head home soon. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you got some, I gotta make sure these screens don't turn off, right? Okay, first of all, can I get this to go? All right, come on. Wake up again. Did I not plug everything in? Yep, here we go. Okay. Oh, that looks good. That looks like I can do this. And I can stand in front of the screen and you'll still be able to see what's happening back there. In other words, I'm not blocking the light from the projector because the projector can be very close to the screen. It looks like a TV, doesn't it? But it's just cloth. It's just a screen, except that it's anti-reflection or something like that. It basically blocks light coming from above, ambient light, so that it looks brighter. It specializes on light that's coming from underneath, like this short throw projector. Anyway, we got to put together the helmets. We got to clean all this stuff up. We're going to put all the Vive trackers, receivers along there. And I'll be back tomorrow to take care of that. Oh, and I keep forgetting about making sure that this doesn't turn off. Now, this has to do with the power setting usually. Power and sleep settings. On battery power, turn off when plugged in, turn off after never. Sleep on, yep, okay. All right, so that should not go to sleep now. What is this one? Okay. Switch to this computer. Yeah, never. I don't want that to go ever to sleep. Okay, so that takes care of that. Be nice to have a screensaver though after like half hour or something like that, just in case we forget. So let's look at the screensavers. And I also want to do a screensaver that has something to do with our business. Hello. Screensaver? Aha, change screensaver. Okay. So yeah, let's do it after half hour. How about that? About after 30 minutes. Okay. I also don't know if computers need screensavers anymore. I mean, I don't know if these screens suffer from burn-in or not. I know certain technologies still do. Because when I look at reviews of TVs and so on, they say, oh, this one gets some burn-in, and you got to be aware of that. But I don't know. We'll have to see. So this one says to do a blank screen. Let's at least look at the ribbons also. Yeah, okay, we'll do the ribbons. Okay, so that's doing the ribbons. Screen 1 and 2 are set. And I think that's it. All right, this time for sure. Thank you for tuning in. And I will see you next time. And next time, Laurel will be here. So, all right. Take care.